Tonka should be picked up here, or potentially Lyra. So Lyra we picked up, and that leaves Rona open.
Lyra is the pick. It's just, you know, we talk about the lines. It's a matter of 2.10 meta, however, and Trimmarker, Lyra, Lorelei, even Arden are so much more stronger than the lines. I like the anticipation Tasty Bacon. Unfortunately, it's not going to come out for G2 at least.
What do we think of this Vox first pick? This is very early for a Vox
I love
pick.
the Vox first pick and banning the Baron, because Baron actually counters Vox, especially when he gets that range and he gets to the late game. He actually counters Vox, and he's known to counter Vox. So that's a very smart ban by Kraken there.
It also puts G2 in kind of a tough spot here now, because while G2 may want the Celeste for themselves, there is that opportunity for Kraken to pick up a jungle Celeste with the weapon Vox in the lane. So they are going to ban away the Lorelei here just to be safe on that captain pick. But Arden is still available for Kraken, so I don't think they're going to mind.
Yeah, I was going to say the Arden is still available. They're either going to pick that or secure another very strong top priority pick and take that away from G2 and then save their roam pick for the last pick so that they can counter with the Fortress possibly like they did against Detonation if necessary.
You can see Kraken on the screen there discussing the potential picks available
Arden.
to them here. Arden will be the lock-in in the end. They seem happy with that one, and reasonably so. Arden, incredibly strong captain in the match.
So G2 now, they can play Celeste. I mean, they can pick up the Celeste here because Celeste will win against Vox in the late game, but that opens up a lot of dive potential for Kraken. They can pick like a Taka, but then again, you have Lyra to protect that Celeste, and maybe potentially Cruel Celeste could be a strong combo
Celeste
here.
Cruel, I think, would be a great combo for G2 to grab.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kraken played it last series, so they could go for that. The other thing that's also open is the Kestrel for G2. Hundor plays it so incredibly well, but it has been nerfed in 2.10. The damage, the base damage was nerfed quite heavily on the Glimmer Shot. Instead, it has piercing. So against squishier targets, it does less. Against durable targets, when you have enough weapon power, it does more.
We'll see if that's something that could be a pocket pick maybe for G2, or whether they go on something a little bit more staple. I'm curious to see where they do go with this draft. Obviously, Lyra, very versatile as a first pick, so a lot of different directions that you can go with that one. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see them go with something towards that late game focus.
Yeah, some comps they can run with Lyra, like Samuel Lyra is extremely strong. That's something, it's a very popular jungle duo in East Asia actually, because of Samuel's sustain from his heroic perk. On top of that, you have Lyra's heal as well, which makes him super strong, especially at sieging turrets. So that's something maybe G2 can run, because I know Dark Potato does like Samuel every now and then.
So I believe the sides were swapped on the graphic there. So I believe it should be Kraken on the A side for this game. So
that would actually make quite a bit of sense. Because, I mean, the first pick Lyra, just as they did against the Nation Gaming, Kraken going for the same sort of strategy in the draft.
Yeah,
it does mean, though, G2 were banning away that Baron, though, after picking a Vox, which maybe looking at the Kraken draft and saying, hey, banning Baron doesn't seem like too bad of an idea.
Yeah, because Baron is just does so much damage. Once he gets 2 to 3 weapon power items, he actually counters the Vox because of the range, and his jump allows him to basically be able to pew and jump away from a Vox diving into him.
All right, well, we'll see how this draft will continue once we'll be able to bring that back up on your screens.
Kraken have a very clear advantage in the draft right now, however. They have the Lyra already against the Vox and the Arden. I mean, Vox has a very low range, and Arden doesn't really provide that much when it comes to poking and playing against longer range compositions. So if Kraken does close out their, or round out their composition with something like the Celeste that they did last series, they will have the same sort of advantage in just playing with the longer range composition, keeping their distance from their opponents and capitalizing on power spikes.
All right, we'll see if longer range composition is something that they do lean towards. I'm very curious to see how this first one goes. Honestly, this is one of the most important. In fact, I mean, you've only got 4 games right here. So G2 right now, this is a quarter of their time in the tournament if they can't get those wins on the board. Kraken are already looking fantastic. Kraken, they basically just need to win 1 game, and they are well in with a shot of making it out of this group. So G2, the onus is on them to make sure that they can take priority in this series.
Yeah, a pocket pick that we could potentially see, and they played, is some Saul. So if they play Saul into a Vox, Vox will lose that early game really hard. But they're going to go with Celeste, and Glaive is showing up here. He did get a slight buff in 2.10, so it's great to see him come back.
It's actually one of the picks that I've been looking forward to. I hope it gets picked up more and more just because the buff is quite significant. He got more lifesteal on his ultimate stacks, as well as higher crit chance on his B ability once he levels it up.
The thing I'm going to be really interested in, though, is Dark Potato on the Batiste. This is not a pick that we associate with Dark Potato very frequently, so they're going to be bringing this one out onto the fold for us here.
As a Batiste one trick, though, I can certainly approve of that pick. It could spell some bad mojo for Kraken. But what do we think of these compositions then? How is this one going to be playing out? Obviously, Glaive Celeste, we've talked about CC chains in the past. That can be a devastating combination. Do we think that Kraken have got what it takes to take down G2? Or are Europe going to be making their mark here?
I absolutely do think they have what it takes, because the Vox, the Batiste, work very well if they were trying to kite away. But against the Celeste, just because they have a range advantage, they will need to dive in and try to take a route, which I think, as a composition, they're not going to be very effective at doing.
A lot of it's going to depend on the timing of the sigils coming out from the Lyra, because while, yes, the damage does need to ramp up for the side of G2, there's still a lot of burst that can come out. If the sigils get used too early, all of a sudden those empowered bad mojos come out. If you don't have the healing available for that, then the team fight's just lost.
Kraken went hands down. Celeste counters Batiste because of the range, and Vox as well, in the late game especially. Glaive can peel, Lyra's a good peel as well. Kraken's going to take this game.
All right, well, it's about time that we got on into this game and find out for ourselves who is going to be able to take this one. It's Europe's first game. It's Kraken's second series. Let's pass it to the casters and get on into this one.
Thank you very much, guys. Once again, G2 stepping onto the fold now, up against the victorious Kraken, who just took down Detonation Gaming 2-0. They're going to be riding on a high. Can G2 knock them off their pedestal?
Now, I know G2 were talking about building compositions around Arden, building compositions around Lyra. They have the Arden this time round. We know Hundor is an incredible Vox. And Dark Potato, I asked Dark Potato, because a lot of people have criticized him based on kind of what he can play. I said, what do you want to play in the jungle going into Worlds? He's like, you know, Batiste, I want to play anything that I usually play, Cruel. But Batiste was a big one for him, so he's managed to get his hands on that. It's definitely something that can shut down the Glaive. Glaive comes in for an afterburn, you use your Ordained, Glaive goes out of the afterburn and gets stunned at the end of it, so he doesn't manage to get that hit off, which is really important. So Batiste is a really good pick for Dark Potato going into this game. I am a European caster, you're a European caster. There's going to be a little bit of sort of encouragement, I would say, from us. I really do want to see Europe do well here, but Kraken have looked incredible in their first series. G2 have a very big challenge on their hands.
The battle for the Halcyon
Kraken were
Fold
already
has
going to be
begun.
a big surprise coming into this one. We mentioned it in their series versus Detonation, but we are in the second series, and they are versus G2 this time, the pride of Europe. Game number 1 is underway.
I'm wondering what Babala is going to build, just simply because Hundor has been playing a bit of Glaive in the lane specifically, and he went for a Serpent's Mask into Breaking Point build quite often. It gave him a lot of sustain. Remember, 2.10 is where Glaive's sustain was kind of brought back. Look at this from Keanu. He's trying to delay the wave push, or make the wave push in his favor, and that's going to give them more time in the jungle to react here. So it's going to allow his lane to have a slightly slow push, and that might actually force Mua to essentially respond to that lane push and maybe be forced away from this Elder Trion. That could be a really big deal for G2, because if they can get some pressure here early, forcing Mua into the lane because of that slow push, they're actually going to bring Vox up straight away, so it didn't make too much of a difference, but they're just trying to get an early push on here from
Gotta say, I'm quite scared of Mua, and so should G2 be as well. He was such a cornerstone. Kraken. Oh, after that from Babala in a little bit of trouble. Does manage to stun Keanu for the time being, but Dark Potato is here as well. He's shoving away and chucking out a couple of bad mojos. As soon as they start to get empowered, Dark Potato is going to dish out a whole bunch of damage, actually forcing Babala back there as well.
I like that G2 rotated up, expecting the early Glaive gank into a level 2 Celeste as well. No fights around the Elder Trion so far, so that's still standing. I'm not sure what Dark Potato actually used his Ordained on. I don't think he used it on the Glaive though. Again, though, it would have been difficult to get a kill regardless. They're just looking to put pressure on this Celeste early on. So Hundor and Keanu spending a lot of time in lane together, just looking to put pressure onto Celeste as much as physically possible. Again, trying to mount those waves, trying to put pressure on that first tier turret. And again, you know, like we saw from Detonation, what you really want to do is get that first tier turret early on and snowball off that against the Celeste. You don't want to let her build up that item builds that get towards the 3 or 4 items.
Well, look at this starting itemization here from Hundor as well. Maybe they look for a small engage again. Oh, Babala doesn't quite find anything. Did have the speed up from the sigil, but Hundor did back off rather sharpish. He's got the Sonic Zoom as well, so something to keep in mind. But he's gone for those Book Eulogies, and with the shielding as well, just determined to stay alive in the lane, especially in the early game, because if Mua gets fed like he did versus Detonation, it will be bad news for G2.
Well, that's a really intelligent buy from Hundor because it's a difficult laning phase for Vox. He's got a very short range. Celeste can actually contest with her Heliogenesis, which isn't usually possible for Celeste early on. So Hundor just doesn't want to get caught by too many supernovas here. Still CSing very well. Mr. Dog's going to get caught out.
Ordained on Mr. Dog. Does pop the flask as well as that bright bulwark, so that's actually a big cooldown here. Not for too much gain either. He was rather healthy and still had the sigil to heal himself up.
Yeah, I know it's going to go 1 versus 2 right now, playing super aggressive. Hundor working towards that poison shiv first. That is just an intelligent first buy against a Lyra and a Glaive. Glaive with the inbuilt sustain, and obviously Lyra with her sigils. You just need a poison shiv. It's kind of a necessary item against this kind of composition. And Vox is one of the only carries that can really make poison shiv work early on, especially as a core item build. So it's a good pick for Vox here into this composition.
Babala going fairly aggressive. Is he going to be able to get that Ordained? Nope. There's the afterburn. There's the interaction you were talking about a minute ago with the Ordained as well. Does stun himself up, but there was no real follow-up there from G2, so he just goes back to his own jungle. Not too much gained in that front, but still being fairly aggressive, which is what Team Kraken have been doing time and time again.
I like the flexibility of the Glaive hit pick here, by the way, because obviously there is that potential for early aggression. We saw Babala looking for that. We saw Babala trying to get into the lane and put pressure onto Hundor. But as the game progresses, he can turn into a bit more of a peeling machine. He's going to be looking to just use those afterburns to peel away for the Celeste, and Mua will take over as that primary carry. So that gives a lot of flexibility to this composition from Team Kraken. The only problem they're going to have is if the afterburn doesn't work out, you don't have the ability to reduce damage like the Cruel does. And Glaive isn't, I think, as much of a threat in that case, especially if he doesn't particularly go for a heavy impact build, as the Cruel would have been. So G2 are going to be up against a slightly easier variant of this composition from Team Kraken, I believe.
Clockwork now finished from Nua as well. That's his first item.
He just likes to go that to clear waves. Like you just go that early on, you get the energy regen, the cooldown reduction, you look to clear waves, clear those waves, meaning that the first turret is harder to take.
Yeah, Babala has actually picked up that tension bow as well. So with that first power spike for him, we saw what those core collapses can do if someone gets caught out. But Hundor is going to be protected in the lane by Keanu and Dark Potato. Now, G2 are very, very focused on Hundor up in that lane to do very well. They're very good at just exploiting that lane and being able to put Hundor in a position where he can carry. Baron's one of his favorite heroes, was actually banned out by G2 here, but on this Vox is going to become quite a menace in the late game. His mobility, his ability to actually dodge in and out of these team fights and around the Heliogenesis is going to be quite big. Tension Bow proc onto Hundor, does about a third of his HP, but that'll be Team Kraken now just backing off.
Yeah, again, they just need to be careful here. Hundor doesn't want to get into too many fights versus an early tension bow from the Glaive. And what I really like about this build from the Glaive is it acts as an escalator. Glaive with the tension bow is going to be threatening for the next minute or so, minute or two maybe, going up towards 10 minutes. That provides time where you have at least one threatening carry position from Team Kraken as Celeste starts to scale up. I like to call it this, like I said, I like to call it the elevator type style of build, where you have one person that's threatening for a bit, and then the person that comes into the late game, when you get to the top of the elevator, that's the person that you really have to worry about. So it kind of gives this transition phase for Team Kraken.
Yeah, Team Kraken, like you mentioned a minute ago, are going to be able to shove these waves just because Moa did pick up that Clockwork is his first item. And with that short range on the Vox, Hundor's having a little bit of a tricky time here. He's not even behind in CS at this point, actually, even.
No, but the thing is, because Team Kraken have essentially left Lyra in lane the entire time, Lyra and Celeste, they're just going to have that sustain necessary, especially once the Clockwork is finished, to just consistently shove waves in. And Celeste's wave clear and wave shove is always going to be better than Vox's because of the Supernova. Vox can push back quite quickly himself, but, in general, you're going to find that Mua is going to have the easier time. They're committing a lot of resources here to lane, though, and it's been quite quiet. We're very respectful. I mean, the gold is almost exactly even between these two teams.
Yeah, big pickups here, though, from Dark Potato. That's got the Infusion and the Shatter Glass now on board, so he can pop that whenever he wants to, but Babala's got exactly the same. Picked up the Infusion not a minute and a half ago, so again, kind of even in that respect, but Hundor picking up that breaking point as well as that poison shift. He's got a lot of attack speed and sustain in the lane, so he's going to be able to just counter shove Mua in now.
It's just item spike after item spike, and no team really finding the opportunity to utilize that. Babala hasn't quite found the prime afterburns that he's looking for, but they have got position in this lane. Have G2 been slightly out-rotated here? Keanu has to be very aggressive with his positioning.
Does, and he's only level 5. There's the Ordained. It's going to actually stun up the Glaive for the time being. Bright Bulwark is going to get laid down as well. Kraken, known for their early aggression in the jungle, in fact, has only really found 1 to 2 camps. Babala not really been the most to Miwa, but it's not going to matter, a scoundrel. Keanu's going to go down. That core collapse from Mua just destroyed G2.
Mua is absolutely ridiculous on Celeste. It is unbelievable how good this guy is. Solar Storm's on point, Core Collapse is on point, Supernova's on point. Can this guy do anything wrong?
No.
Yeah, exactly. No. I mean, Hundor is one of his best picks. Hundor is considered one of the best Voxes in the EU, maybe alongside Techno JJ, but he's considered one of the best Voxes in the region. He looks like he's going for a Tyrant's Monocle build. I'm wondering whether he has to now double down and go for a double Tyrant's Monocle build to have any chance of putting pressure onto Celeste in the backline. The problem is, you look at the Glaive, and that opens him up to get pressured out like he did in that last fight. The thing that I think is really important to note is Babala with a tension bow and a breaking point. It might not seem significant damage, but it is significant enough to afterburn onto Hundor and shove him out of the fight. That is important because Hundor is the only person that is going to get to the backline and pressure Mua. So essentially Babala says you're getting nowhere near Mua, and Hundor has to respect that because he hasn't got any armor right now. It will be very telling as to whether Hundor builds armor last or goes for the double Tyrant's Monocle build alongside the breaking point and poison shift.
Now Team Kraken are showing their aggression, just pushing into the jungle of G2. Got complete control of the lane and have opened up the base as well. 2 turrets remain on the side of G2, and they're on the wrong side of the map right now. Not where you want to be, especially as Team Kraken. They've got so many items on board, and even infusions coming through as well.
Triple infusion. That's you had to force the infusion out of Dark Potato. Hundor doesn't currently have it yet. There's the infusion for him. He had to pick that up.
Helio Jones is being popped. Nice Crucible coming through from Dark Potato. In fact, that was actually his own reflex block. Does block the afterburn for the time being. G2 finally swap around.
Keanu hasn't even got his Crucible yet. He prioritized War Treads because he thinks that the movement speed is either necessary to kite away or dive the Celeste. The only reason you'd go War Treads before any other core items is that movement speed is imperative to the way that you want to play these fights. That spells to me that they are looking to use that movement speed off the back of a gauntlet to dive onto Celeste as quickly as possible. There is the Minion's Foot from Hundor. It is going to be a full ham double Tyrant's Monocle build coming out from Vox. This is designed to do maximum damage. I don't know if G2 are going to be able to contest this Kraken. This is going down super quickly. It's going to be explosive.
Oh, Hundor's going to have to get in there. Bright Bulwark stops it for the time being. The wave break comes through. And G2 steal the Kraken. Gauntlet comes out.
Is crazy.
3 as well. There's the fearsome shade. Mua is going down so low, but the core collapse was good. G2, they find 2 as the Glaive ends up falling. Double kill for Hundor, and he steals the Kraken.
Just when everything seemed lost for G2, Hundor, the savior of Europe, comes in, solo steals the Kraken, and then they rush down. That was unbelievably beautiful. That was a wonderful steal into a triple gauntlet, into Dark Potato locking up Mua on the side lanes, both with his Ordained and then into his Fearsome Shade as well. I mean, I think Mua cast about 2 spells that entire team fight. G2 have suddenly put themselves right back into contention despite being a significant amount of gold behind.
They're going to be able to take 2 turrets as well. G2 finally backing off, almost evening the turret kills. Team Kraken's base not quite opened up just yet, but G2, they're going to be able to ravage the jungle.
The problem that I think G2 are going to have is they need those abilities to be up every single time they want to fight. They cannot fight in the space of the cooldowns of the things like the Gauntlet and the Fearsome Shade, because unfortunately, there is no way that you can run at this composition easily. You need to have that engage from the Arden to set things up. Hundor has just kept his team in the game for at least another, 5 or so minutes. Keanu's next big item spike is that Echo. I'm wondering whether G2 now hold off on the trigger until they get the Echo on the Gauntlet and have the opportunity then to create a space where it's very difficult for Mua to escape, especially with just that one reflex block.
Team Kraken now, they have got the wave shove advantage here at Scoundrel and 4 items on board for Mua as well. These team fights are so explosive and so quick as well, but Hundor's finished his build also. No tier 3 boots just yet, but he's got double monocle, he's got breaking points. They're going to have to force infusions because Team Kraken, once again, triple fusion for them.
Triple infusion from Team Kraken. You can see G2 realize that. They cannot fight right now. Hundor has to get that gold for an infusion. It is absolutely imperative to this next team fight. And I think Team Kraken are going to look to push this. When you've got an infusion, you push your advantage. It's a massive team fight tool that you're going to have over your opposition. And right now, G2 are not in a position to fight because none of their carries have those necessary infusions.
Hundor's going to be able to find the gold, but Team Kraken can keep pushing them in, it will be able to just start the
There we
fight.
go, there we go.
There's the infusions coming out. One for Dark Potato, one for Hundor.
He needs 150 gold for Keanu to finish up his Echo. I think this is what G2 are holding off on. They're happy to let things go. Kraken hasn't respawned. Get that Echo, which I think Keanu is going to pick up in the next couple of seconds, and suddenly you're in a really good space to set up team fights where you can dive the Celeste. Team Kraken have done incredibly to get to this point now where, again, you have a hyper-farmed, hyper-fed Celeste still dominating these team fights. And I love the way that Babala is built to be a threat to Hundor, who has no armor. Hundor will always have to respect that afterburn coming out from Babala. There's the Echo from Keanu Nicole. We could see a fight now.
Keanu has got the Echo, but so has Mr. Dog. Now, once again, G2 and Team Kraken flipping the sides of the maps. There's the War Treads. There's the first gauntlet. Bright Ball White doesn't quite land. Ordain's out. But look at Moore on the sidelines getting caught by the corner. Fearsome Jay's going to find him as well. Another beautiful stun, but he's trying to peel back, but can't quite find it. Hundor finds the kill. Wait for it to silence Babala, and he's in a 2v1. Hundor's just chasing Mr. Dog away. Babala gets caught up in the Ordained. Hundor now just marching forward. His 5th kill of the game. Glaive gets out alive and uses the boots to get a bit of distance, but G2 have won the fight.
This might be a resonance for Hundor. He might be able to chase this down. Yes,
Babala's
he is.
going to go down. There's the ace for G2, and they're going to be able to break the base. And with Kraken online, this could be Team Kraken's last chance to secure this victory.
G2 found that recipe to get rid of the Celeste. Hundor's build has given him a full dive capability with critical strike damage against a no armor Celeste. Dark Potato Keanu, they pop the gauntlet, they pop the War Treads, they rush the Celeste, they get the second gauntlet down, and Noah was stuck in no man's land. Babala and Mr. Dog tried to respond to that double gauntlet. They got stuck in that second gauntlet wall. They couldn't get there in time to save Noah. Oh, Hundor!
Hundor, okay. Popping the boots. Moore goes fairly low, but it's going to get healed up by Mr. Dog. He really wants to end this right here, right now.
He saw an opportunity. This is the kind of build that you can burst someone with. The double Terrence Monocle build. This, for me, is the best box build if you're not facing up against someone that's got a high weapon power damage output. This is the best 2.10 box build.
Well, the gauntlet has come up for Keanu. Just needs to pull the trigger. He hasn't got Echo just yet. Scoundrel, they should just be able to secure this turret. Base turret's going to go down eventually. Dark Potato slinging bad mojos in. The gauntlet comes out. Hundor's on the wrong side of the fight for the time being. Mr. Dog is going to get stunned up. There's the Solar Storm. Keanu going extremely low. Pops the water to get a bit of distance. Hundor is just pounding away. Babala doesn't quite find anything. Fearsome Shade rattled through 3 members of Kraken as well. They should be able to secure and kill off the Kraken before it does any more damage.
Yeah, really wonderful defense. Again, Amua, I cannot stress how good this guy is with Celeste. Those core collapses are absolutely pinpoint perfect. Hundor could have blocked that, but I felt like in the sort of the grand scheme of things, taking that fight would have been bad for G2 regardless. You're right, I think Echo has to be up for G2 to find a successful fight here. One gauntlet is not enough to force enough movement with that reflex block from Mua. He's going to be able to get out of one gauntlet easy peasy. I think that was more of Keanu searching for an opportunity, but trying to non-committally go for a fight. Once that echoes up, I feel like, especially when the gauntlet comes back online, they will commit to a heavy fight here. Hundor's gone for the Halcyon charges as well. Going to give him a bit of cooldown reduction, allow him to dive a bit more frequently with Sonic Zoom.
Oh, hey, Keanu. He does have Echo up again, Scoundrel.
Piercing Spear coming out from Babala. Means he's probably going to go towards a Bone Saw here to get through some of the armor that's built up on Dark Potato and Keanu. If he can't get onto Hundor and pressure him, he at least wants to maintain his pressure against these carries that are starting to stack the armor up now.
Yeah, Dark Potato's got a bit of armor on his side. Clockwork and Shadowglass, he's putting out a whole bunch of damage, but right now the main tool in his kit that's winning them the team fights is that Fearsome Shade after the stun comes through from the Gauntlet. Is up and available. Keanu positioning. There's the War Treads. The Gauntlet comes out.
The Gauntlet hits!
Stuns Mua, and he goes into the Ordain as well. Solar Storm's going to come through. This is going to get a big block from the Crucible. Another Gauntlet comes down, and Mua ends up falling. That will be Mr. Dog using those War Treads to get a bit of distance, but Hundor's just going to chase him up. The passageway should sentence him to death. Dark Potato in a lot of trouble. Hundor finds himself the two-piece. Dark Potato gliding back. Nice Ordain finds a stun on Babala. This could be it. Could be G2, but Babala picks up the kill onto Dark Potato and is 1v1 in Keanu. Hundor needs to get back into this fight, or this Glaive's just going to be able to clean them up. The wait for it's there, but Hundor's going to be able to find the ace.
Hundor is an absolute god. This guy has been given this reputation as one of the best laners in Europe for a reason. This is a completely different Europe from the Europes that we've seen at the Unified Western Live Championships. This is Europe that has a plan, this is Europe that can execute, and this is Europe that is about to take a game off one of the strongest teams in this group. And we saw Team Kraken just look absolutely perfect.
Crystal's going to fall, but not quite just yet. I mean, Hundo needs to just be able to kite around. He might just be able to do so. He does. The crystal has been shattered, and G2 take game number 1.
Unbelievable from G2. That was a